I'm on a quest to find the best climbing gym in New York City, and today I'm at Metrorock in Bushwick. They have a bunch of fun boulders, so let's see how many I can send. And at the end, I'll tell you where I'd put this gym on my tier list. But first, let's warm up and take a look at the easier grades. This V0 is just your average jug ladder. This purple V1 is also all jugs, but if you actually use each hold, it's quite long, and there's some fun movement at the end with the traverse. This green V2 has a bunch of slopey schlongs. They're actually quite juggy, and the climb is flowy with a lot of crossovers. This white V3 feels a lot harder since all of the holds are crimps. It's pretty straightforward, but I like the cross under into unwinding to the last hold. Very flowy. All of the holds on this blue V4 are crimps. The movement feels very ladder-like though. The crux is putting weight on the left foot and locking off to the next hold. Apart from the juggy second hold, this white V5 is all crimps. The first part is all about keeping tension through the feet on big steep moves. Once you get to the more vertical face, the holds become worse and it's a lot more technical. I thought I could just swap feet and flag for the finish, but I feel like I would barn door because the foot was too inline with the hand. I get a wide left foot and it's a lot more stable. This yellow V6 starts with a hand-foot match on good pinches. With my hips square, it feels like my left foot is pushing me away from the next hold. I smear on the right wall and get a drop knee, which lets me go up to 2 small flat crimps. I try to bring my right hand over, but both crimps are facing the same way and there's no opposition. I try to bicycle the foothold, but I'm still not stable enough. I try a big bump to the next hold, and it feels pretty promising, but I think the position is just barely too stretched out for me. This time, I try to heel hook the right star hold, but it doesn't work. I get a toe hook, and I'm able to make the next 3 moves off of it. Once I figured out the beta, this climb felt pretty easy, so I decided to try this yellow V7 where all the holds are small crimps on an overhang. I cross over the next hold, but my hip comes away from the wall. I try going with my right hand, but it feels wrong and messes up the sequence for the next move. I turn my left hip into the wall during the cross, and it feels like I have a lot more time to grab onto the hold. I hit the crimp with 2 fingers and somehow stay on, but I try to readjust and end up falling. I finally land the move, but when I try to bring my right hand up, I lose my right foot. It turns out, I just had to get my left foot on to keep tension during the move. I don't want to project every move and fry my fingers, so I move on to this orange V7. It starts with a hand-heel match on good holds. I cross over to a crimp and get another hand-heel match to grab a jug and swing my feet over to smear on the wall. The 2 big holds form a crack, which I jam my feet into to move out to the right. The holds in the second half of the climb are much worse. There's a big flat ledge, and then the rest of the holds are crimps. I don't know what to do with my feet, so I just jump for the next hold, but it's not good enough to stay on. I work on the second half of the climb and toe hook the jug. This lets me move my right foot to the volume. From there, I can make the next move. The finish is interesting because the last hold is pretty bad, but I get some foot jams and cams to stabilize the position, so let's give it a try from the beginning. And I misplaced my heel. The movement on this boulder is extremely fun and technical, and I'm happy to send a V7 in 4 attempts, but it definitely feels soft. For the rest of the session, I decided to drop back down and try to send as many V5s as possible, starting with this purple one. It has a lot of big moves on jugs, and in the middle, there's a section where you're horizontal. This green V5 has much slopier holds. It feels a lot harder than the other V5s. It's super physical with a focus on keeping tension during desperate throws and dead points on slopey holds. This orange V5 has a jump start, and the first few holds are precise crimps that you can't see because of the volumes. I missed the first 2 crimps, but managed to readjust and recover. I missed the third one and come straight off. This time, I hit every crimp well and breezed through the first part. The block crimp is worse than I thought it would be, but I can rock over onto my left foot into the Gaston. All of the holds on this pink V5 are pretty good, but it's steep and I didn't really know what to do with my feet. The footholds are all slopey, so I go for a toe hook to hold myself into the wall. I try to remove the toe hook but feel super unstable, so I put it back and use it to make the next couple of moves. After that, the climb is pretty straightforward. This black V5 starts some good slots. I actually missed the slot on the right, but I'm able to slide into it. Falling into the pocket undercling is pretty physical, and the next crimp that you cross over to is a lot smaller than I thought it would be. But overall, the climb is pretty easy. This pink V5 is steep with good holds. I thought it would just be a jug ladder, but clearly I have 0 climbing IQ because I can't comprehend the next move, which is to a hold that is straight up on the back of the next volume. I try a high right heel hook, and then I can make the massive move to the undercling, and I decide to try the ending while I'm up there. It's pretty straightforward, so I'm sad I didn't see the heel hook earlier. see this cool looking V4 slab and decide to give it a try. There's a no hand section in the middle, and then the last move is a dynamic step up to a small thumb undercling. I try to step up on my left foot, but I don't generate enough force to reach the last hold. I realize that I need to load up my right leg and be way more dynamic. This time, I hit the hold, but my right leg slowly barn doors off. I get both hands on the hold before my hips start coming out, and I'm able to get the send. This is probably my favorite boulder of the session. Next up is a comp boulder. These have a separate grading scale, and I think this is a 1 out of 5. It starts with a step up move on a volume, and then you get high feet for the finish. This next boulder is also a comp boulder, and this time it's graded level 2 out of 5. It starts with a diagonal dyno. The last move is a little scary since you're on slopey pockets and can't see where you're supposed to grab the next hold. But luckily, it's pretty good. Next up is another comp boulder graded level 2. The first move is a fairly simple stand-up move from underclings. The next move is kind of awkward to generate, and it's scary because there's a giant volume that you might fall into. I try to jump off the volume, but can't quite reach it with my foot. This time, I just skip the volume altogether and focus on my hands. The hardest part about the move is trying not to think about impaling yourself on the volume. And now we're back to our regularly scheduled V5s. This yellow one is all in-cut crimps except for a big sloper in the middle. This blue V5 is all 2-finger pockets. I'm not sure if this is intended, but getting my right foot up high is pretty hard. I try to move my right foot, but then my left one slips. A foot slip with your finger in a pocket is one of the scariest feelings while climbing, but I give it another go. And I slip on the start foot. This time, I get a high left foot and turn my hip in because the foothold isn't as slopey and less likely to slip. I can't really find any good foot options, so I jump for the next hold. And luckily, the last 2 holds are pretty good. Next up is another level 2 comp boulder. It starts with a pedal dyno off a sloper. I throw in a high heel and rock up to another sloper, but then the finish is kind of confusing since the top part of the last hold is no text. I realize I can get a hip jam and find a no hands finish. At this point, I did most of the V5s, and this blue V4 caught my eye because the slopey holds made it look very technical. So I throw in a heel hook and go to a crimp Gaston. I try to match, but the position is a lot worse than I thought it would be. This time, I just skip the crimp and the compression with the sloper feels pretty good. From there, it's just a traverse on good slopers and in-cut crimps. This blue V6 caught my eye because it has these interesting holds with wooden dual techs on them. The holds on the steep part are pretty positive, and the holds on the face are slopier. And since it's traversed to the right, there are a lot of left heel hooks. This hand heel match is pretty hard because the hold isn't that big. The heel actually pops, but I'm able to swing my feet back on. I thought the next hold would be good enough to cut feet, but I end up flying to the right. I figured out how to do the move, but unfortunately, the mats are so soft that someone just walked by and my tripod fell over. But by this point, I'm super pumped and can't decide which foot to use. I try using the closer foot, but I can't really generate and I get stuck. This time, you can actually see how I did the move. I got another hand heel match, which let me do the next move statically. I commit to using the further foot, but I barely can't reach the last hold. I get the closer foot, and luckily, I have enough energy to lock off, do the last move, and get the send. This blue V6 starts on a sloper and a crimp. I find a toe hook on a far volume to establish, and cross over to another crimp with my right hand. Releasing the foot makes the position feel awful though. This time, I keep the right toe hook to move my left foot, and then I toe hook the start hold. I match on the sloper, but the position feels really bad. This time, I just throw to the next hold, and it actually feels pretty good. But I can feel myself getting tired, so I decide to rest and come back to that one later. In the meantime, I go over to this watermelon colored level 2 comp climb. Once you establish, you stand up into this no hand section. The right foot is slopier than it looks, but it's big enough that matching feet is easy. From here, you just have to jump off a tiny foothold to a good flat ledge. It's hard to generate from that sketchy position, and it's kind of scary to fully commit. This time, I'm able to get it. And luckily, the ending isn't too bad. Next, I find this pink V5 that I missed earlier. It starts with a dead point to a small block crimp. Then, you have to fall into the next hole, but loading the right hand crimp is strenuous. My foot slips, but I'm able to stay locked off on the left hand and generate to the tiny overhead pinch. Trusting your feet on the small and slopey block crimp is kind of scary, and then you have to delicately shift into a Gaston. I find a high left foot, and I'm able to stabilize to get the match. I decide to come back to the blue V6. The beginning goes well, and I'm able to grab the crimp around the corner. I try to cut feet to get a left heel, but I can't hold on. I saw someone start with the right hip turned in, and it's a lot easier. This time, I keep the right toe hook while getting the left heel, and I can grab the next hold. I heel hook a tiny nub, and use it to shift my weight to the right underneath the next hold. I rock over a left foot and go to 2 crimp down pulls. They're quite bad, so I really have to push my knee to the left and sink down to stay underneath them. I was pleasantly surprised to find that the last hold was a jug, so I could relax and enjoy the send. So, after my session, what do I think of Metrorock Bushwick? First, let's talk about their training tools. Their gym has barbells, squat racks, benches, and dumbbells. They also have hangboards, campus boards, and a kilter board. All I could really ask for is a spray wall or another commercial board. Next, I want to talk about the route setting. They do a decent job setting both traditional climbs and competition style climbs, and I like that they have separate grading for the two styles. The climbs have very fun movement, and they feel more technical than powerful. There were a lot of heel hooks and toe hooks, and I felt like there were smaller, tensiony moves on bad holds instead of huge throws on good holds. I will say that the gym feels very soft, by at least a grade or two. I think if you're an advanced climber, you could be limited by the setting here. Another thing I want to talk about is the size of the gym. Half of it is dedicated to rope climbing, so it's really not that big, and I was able to send basically every V5 and more all in one session. And the size also means that the terrain is limited. They don't have that much slab, which made me sad because I really enjoyed the slab sets that I got to try, especially the no-hand sections. Since the gym is on the smaller side and limited by the soft setting, I'd put this gym in B tier. If this is your home gym, you can become a strong and well-rounded climber. But once you reach the advanced levels, it might be worth exploring other gyms, especially since GP81 is just a few blocks away. But what do you think of this gym? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you'd like to see more New York City climbing gym reviews, check out this playlist right over here. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!